Brady Dempsey. In the world today, there have been many cases of both psychopathy and sociopathy. One might think, but aren't they the same thing? I'm here to give the differences between both and a little more information on the topic. Not all are serial killers, but some can grow up to be based on how they were raised. There are many things to consider whether someone might be a psychopath or a sociopath. I'll explain to you about both and how they have some of the same characteristics. First, I'll inform about psychopaths. In the Web article, What Makes a Psychopath? The Signs to Look Out for, Aisling Maloney states that psychopathy is a spectrum disorder, meaning that it is a mental disorder that includes a range of linked conditions. Maloney explains that the disease is diagnosed using the 20-item Hare psychopathy checklist, which is a list of typical psychopath traits. The list is very useful to psychologists to determine who they're dealing with and what problems might arise. People can be born psychopaths or have an accident in their life that can make them into psychopaths. The frontal lobe plays a huge part in determining whether the person is a psychopath or not. If a person does not have enough gray matter in the frontal lobe, they are more likely to be a psychopath. However, that does not necessarily mean that they will be serial killers. It simply means that they will be unable to display any kind of emotions. The Web article, Psychopath versus Sociopath, What's the Difference? Kelly McClear, Saadi states that the psychopath is callous yet charming. He or she will kindly manipulate others and can effectively mimic feelings to present themselves as normal. As Kelly McClear Saadi stated, psychopaths mimic emotions to portray themselves as being normal to society, which effectively makes them more invisible when it comes to being investigated. Sociopaths are next on the list, so what exactly are they? In the Web article, Sociopathy, on the Psychology Today website, sociopathy is described as a pattern of antisocial behaviors and attitudes. From sociopathy, sociopaths said to be manipulative, liars, who lack empathy and have a weak conscience. Most sociopaths are raised in broken homes, where they are abused emotionally, physically, or sometimes both by a parent or sibling. This abuse causes them to react negatively, and problems begin to arise when the victim begins to take his or her anger out on animals, which escalates into people if it is not caught early on. As pointed out in the Web article titled How to Tell a Sociopath from a Psychopath, sociopaths tend to be more nervous and easily agitated. Since they grew up in a broken home, their way of thinking was altered, and they feel the need to push the anger on someone else. From Tell a Sociopath from a Psychopath, it is stated that crimes committed by a sociopath are dangerous, disorganized, and primarily spontaneous, meaning that they will strike out at any given moment, no matter what the circumstance. A final comparison and contrast between psychopaths and sociopaths will show the signs that both exhibit on a regular basis. Psychopaths have an altered frontal lobe, which consists of less gray matter than the average person.
Go ahead.
The frontal lobe directly controls the emotions of a person, and if there's less than average gray matter, the person will have no emotions and will not be able to empathize with other people. Some psychopaths are not born with an altered frontal lobe, whether they have an accident that causes the gray matter or the frontal lobe to have gray matter loss. Both psychopaths and sociopaths have some of the same traits. Reading from Sociopath from Psychopath, these common traits are a common disregard for laws and social morals, a disregard for the rights and feelings of others, no remorse or guilt for what the crimes they commit, and a tendency to display violent behavior. As told from Tale, a sociopath from a psychopath, when committing his crimes, psychopaths carefully plan out every detail in advance and always have backup plans. You may know a man named Ted Bundy, a known psychopath who committed many atrocities in the Washington area, then in Florida, where he was recaptured and put to death. Every murder he committed was carefully planned out, but as for most murderers, he eventually slipped up and was captured. In conclusion, I hope that this was eye-opening and that you learned a lot. Although you can't always read a person, maybe this will help in the future if you are ever in a situation similar to this. Psychopaths and sociopaths are very real and sometimes very dangerous. If you want to learn more about both, I encourage reading the books or articles about known serial killers. It may help to know about the crimes they committed and how to watch for the signs. Thank you for listening to my speech.
Mm-hmm.